I've never made a dining table before, but how hard can it be? When we first moved into our house 3 years ago, we bought this really cheap secondhand table that I cleaned up and painted to act as a temporary dining table in our kitchen so we'd at least have somewhere to eat while we continue renovating the rest of the house. Originally, I had planned on replacing this with a table I built myself, something made out of solid wood with traditional turned legs. But over the years, the plans changed once we realized we need more countertop space and cabinet storage. So we'll now be replacing this with a kitchen island instead. And while Aaron and I are both fine with eating most of our meals at the kitchen island, we do still want a dining area for when we have guests over. So we turn to the outdoors. We live in Los Angeles where the weather is great most of the year, and with our backyard nearly complete, we realized most of our hosting has naturally shifted to taking place outside. Back in 2022, we built this deck, but honestly, we haven't used it for much now that we have a separate patio area. And thanks to the large bifold doors we installed, the deck space opens up nicely to the rest of the house, almost like another room in the house. And once the kitchen island is built, this can serve as a more comfortable space to share a meal with friends and family, rather than forcing people to sit at the kitchen island. Like all woodworking projects, this one begins with wood, and I'm using mahogany because it's a strong, hard, dense wood, and its natural oils make it naturally resistant to decay and rot. And now that I have a fully functioning workshop with a jointer and planer, I was able to buy rough lumber that I can mill from home and make it nice and square and flat and just what I need it to be. With most woodworking projects, I start with a fully designed plan, spending hours at the computer building a 3D model before ever turning on a power tool. But I kind of just jumped into this one, working off a rough idea I had floating around in my head, way back when it was originally going to be our kitchen table. In the past, overthinking has prevented me from doing a lot of things, and lately I've been realizing that this need to be perfect to master every skill we tackle can actually really hurt your chances of ever trying anything. If Aaron and I have learned anything while renovating this house, it's that you learn by doing. Experimenting and failing is a fundamental part of the process. And while I am still a big advocate of research and preparedness, I think always striving for perfection can really hinder our actual output. And when it comes to making something, the more we make, the better we get at making. Nowadays, I'm trying to accept that I'm always still learning. And since I'm not in the business of mass producing for consumption, everything I make is a one-off, a prototype that is bound to be full of imperfections. The most I can hope for is that I can make it work in one way or another, and if not, at least learn from and enjoy the experience. This has been one of those projects that I definitely would not call a win based solely on the end result. But it was a win because of all I learned along the way, and what I was able to prove to those pesky voices in my head always telling me I'm not good enough. Since this table is going to be outside, it's going to have to deal with some pretty severe temperature swings. Here in LA, it can be 90s during the day and drop down to the 60s at night. That's a big temperature difference, and no matter how robust the wood is, it's going to have a hard time staying flat. Ultimately, I should have designed this top using thicker wood to help ensure it stays flat. I also probably should have made the top out of separate slats as opposed to one giant panel, but I was set on it looking a certain way, a nice slim profile single panel top. According to the internet, in order to help it stay flat outside, I need a breadboard, which you may be surprised to find out has nothing to do with bread. Put simply, a breadboard in woodworking terms is just a board attached to either end of the tabletop with its grain running perpendicular to the top. You can think of it as a sort of clamp that holds down the top and prevents it from warping while still allowing for seasonal movement. Wood expands and contracts perpendicular to the grain based on moisture in the air. This is called seasonal movement. I made my breadboards by creating a groove in a board that is just a little wider than the overall width of the table. This slides into a tongue I routed out in the tabletop, and the breadboard gets attached to the tabletop using dowels. But I widened all but one of the dowel holes in the tongue of the tabletop to allow the panel to slide freely within the breadboard to account for the seasonal movement of the wood. This way the breadboard can work to keep the panel flat, but still allow the wood to expand and contract as necessary, hopefully without cracking or cupping. Once assembled, I only added glue to the center dowel. This way the other dowels can still move freely, expanding and contracting from the center of the tabletop as needed. Back when this was going to be our kitchen table and before I had my own lathe, I bought these turned legs from a CNC vendor on Etsy. I did try and sell them once the kitchen table idea was scrapped, but no one wanted them, so I figured I'd put them to use here. Besides, I'd never be able to make legs this cool on my own anyway. If you've been enjoying this video, please consider visiting our website, where you can check out our entire catalog of videos, as well as access our new online shop, where you can help support our small but growing channel, so that Aaron and I can continue to document our projects and share with you inspiration and insight along the way.
Perfect bodies in the shallow blue. Didn't
I stained the top with a rich brown to help it seem more integrated with the rest of the deck. The table is going to take up all of the deck space in that area, so I didn't want it to visually stand out too much. And I used a stain and sealer combo on the base, giving it a deep black color, again inspired by the colors of our deck. To seal the top, I'm trying out this sealer from Total Boat, which is rated for flat surfaces outside. I decided on a natural oil finish since maintenance on outdoor wood furniture is inevitable, and I like that with this stuff I can just recoat it in a year or so without having to sand off the old layer, the way I would if I had gone with a more film-like top coat like poly or epoxy. Unfortunately, I did start to notice the top struggling to curl after only a few days outside. The breadboards are doing their job and holding things down for now, but with the amount of stress on them, a crack is sort of inevitable. But when one does form, I'll call it patina and part of its charm. Most importantly, I'll take the lessons I learned on this build with me to the next, so I can keep doing better while also accepting that nothing is ever perfect.